I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC 325, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers from the event. And the thumbnail always gives it away. Maybe not always, but biggest stock riser on this card for me was Mauricio Rufy. Coming into this fight, the odds were pretty close. In fact, the line was flipping back and forth. See right here, they have him as a plus 105 underdog, but it's the way he won this fight. He knocks out Fiziev, and Fiziev hasn't been knocked out since his debut against Mustafayev. I know he had the injury against Gamrot, but like a true knockout, he hasn't had that happen since his UFC debut. This is a huge win for Rufy, and of course, coming off that pretty tough loss against Benoit Saint-Denis, we didn't really know. You know, people are saying fraud check and all this different nonsense about Rufy, but this puts him right back in the driver's seat. We know the UFC loves those Brazilian fighters, especially the ones from the Fighting Nerds. I know technically he's not, well, I guess he's still kind of there, but he trains with Volk now. You kind of know what I'm getting at there. But they like Rufy a lot. That's why he got this fight to begin with. Goes out there, takes out Fiziev in this fight, and all of a sudden, we're looking at a guy who's only lost one fight. And granted, it was his last one, but this is a guy that, you know, the UFC is going to push really hard, and don't be surprised if he gets another big fight after this one, right? Because Fiziev was ranked fairly high in the division. I think he was, 9, I think, in the division? Well, not too high, I should say, but if we look at the rankings right now, he was coming into tonight, Fiziev came in at, he was number 9. So gets in that top 10. Anything's game at this point. I think there's a lot of fun matchups you could do for him. You know, Gamrot could make sense. You could also do, maybe Paddy Pimblett. You could do the loser of Oliveira Holloway. I think there's a lot of good options here for Rufy, but it's a combination of the fact that he gets the finish here. Then he also is exciting to watch, and the UFC seems to reward fighters like that. So Rufy, no questions asked, biggest stock riser on this card. Okay, next biggest stock riser on this card has got to be Benoit Saint-Denis. Now, I don't actually think he looked that incredible in this fight, but it's the optics of it. It's the fact that we know the UFC likes Benoit Saint-Denis. Remember, there were rumblings that had he beat Dustin Poirier a couple fights back, that he was going to be fighting for the title. There was talk of that, right? So the fact he gets this fight against Hooker, I personally don't think he looked like a minus 400 tonight. I thought he looked closer to like a minus 200. Dan Hooker was having a lot of success in that first round with the body shots, but ultimately he does get the finish. He passes the test, and in the eyes of the UFC, that's enough to get him whatever. I saw a lot of people tonight in my live chat talking about Arman being next. They could absolutely do that fight just because it's a case of someone they don't seem to like too much in Arman against a guy in Saint-Denis who they absolutely love and give him good opportunities here. So, I think just the fact that Saint-Denis just did what he was supposed to do, came through, got the win, got the finish, that will be enough for the UFC to propel him up. And again, we're in the Paramount era, just like Rufy. Saint-Denis is a guy that the UFC likes putting on cards because he's entertaining. So for Saint-Denis, big win, big opportunity here. Again, just the, long gone are those 2 losses to Poirier and Moicano. He's now in a 4-fight win streak, and he's finished all of those opponents. His stock goes up big time just because we know the UFC is going to really push him very hard. And then other big stock riser on this card. I don't think his stock rise that much, but just because he already beat the guy he beat already. But Volk's got to be a stock riser on this card because he got the win. I know it wasn't the most amazing fight, although this did get performance of the night, or fight of the night, I should say. Volk just adds more to his overall legacy. Again, I said it in my Discord chat tonight. I think Volk has the best fight IQ in the UFC right now. It's incredible what he's able to do. I mean, just think of the submission defense in that 5th round against Diego Lopez. Like, he's outstanding. So yeah, his stock goes up a bit. I don't think this is like, the fight you're going to look back on and go like, wow, that was the one that really made Volk's career like be amazing, right? Like, he's had a lot of really good fights. So good one there for Volk. His stock automatically goes up because he defended his title. We'll give an honorable mention here on this card too. Gotta mention, I'm going to do 2 honorable mentions. So McAuliffe, I thought very good performance over Oban Elliott. He looks good. This was a nice name on the resume here. He's 8-1 now. Who did he lose to? He lost in Contender Series, I remember, against, or not Contender Series. I'm getting it mixed up with someone else. Beat Muhammad Ado on Contender Series. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, I mean, Giuseppe was a good debut. Nice win there. And now he beats Oban Elliott. He's another guy that very entertaining, young, 26-year-old. So his stock gets an honorable mention. And then again, I know he's the biggest favorite on this card here, but Quillen Salkeld, just the fact that he's the first guy, I think he was the first guy to submit Jamie Mullarkey here, right? I mean, that's super impressive, and just 26 years old, good personality, got a chance to interview him ahead of this fight. Like, he's got the package, and the fact that he's got the total package in terms of like entertaining guy, good on the mic, all that stuff, and the fact that keep going to Australia as well, his stock goes up a little bit, even though I don't think the opponent was great. The UFC will just be high on this guy. So big one there for Quillen Salkeld. Okay, stock dropper, biggest stock dropper on this card is not on the thumbnail, and it's got to be Fiziev. And it's tough, man. Like, this was a tough setback. 32 years old, and now he's lost 3 of his last 4. Like, that's the optics of this now. He's lost 3 of his last 4. That's not good for a guy that at one point we thought might have been a title challenger. So he gets finished by Rufi here. It's just the fact that, like, okay, you could say, like, look, he's lost, 2 to Gaethje, and one of those was short notice, all that stuff. But it's the fact he got finished. I think there's a weakness there. That's now 2 losses he's had where he's been knocked out in his UFC career. And granted, I know they're spaced out big time, 2019 to 2026. But I just think, like, if he fights a guy that's got serious knockout power, I think it's something to keep in mind that, like, he's taken some damage now, and that's something to kind of consider, right? So, I just think that, like, had Fiziev won this fight, he'd be, like, back in that contender spot. And I now think with him losing, is he the gatekeeper at 155? I think that's a fair question to ask at this point. Like, he can't get over the hump. And, I just think, like, this was a fight that, like, I also don't know why he didn't try and wrestle more and practice the ground game a little bit. I mean, you're fighting a guy that's got more power than you. I think Fiziev is still the better striker than Rufi, but I think Rufi's got more power, and that's ultimately what got him the win. So, yeah, tough loss there for Fiziev, but I think his stock went down the most just because, again, he's had a number of losses now, and I think this was one where, you could argue, oh, he's lost twice to Gaethje and he had an injury against Gamrot, but now it's like he's lost 4 of his last 5. So that's a tough one there for Fiziev. He's the biggest stock dropper on this card. Okay, second biggest stock dropper on this card has got to be Diego Lopez. And it's just for the simple fact that now he's lost twice to the champ. And had he won, obviously he's the champion, so he missed out on winning a title. You could make the argument that he was the biggest stock dropper on this card because he failed to capitalize on a rematch, which realistically a lot of people felt he shouldn't have got. Right? So there's that part of it too. So his stock goes down just because, again, he's in this purgatory of, like, he has to wait till Volk retires or whatever. I know there's some talk about maybe him moving up. We'll see. But, yeah, it's just a tough spot to be in at 31 years old where you've lost twice to the champ. And it's not like the champ is, I don't know. Is there any indication that Volk's going to retire anytime soon? I don't know. So we'll see. But, yeah, Diego Lopez has to be a stock dropper on this card. And then third biggest stock dropper on this card, mainly because there was a lot of hype with him maybe a couple of years back. But Oban Elliott's stock has certainly gone down. He had that nice win streak. I remember the win over Basil Hafez. People were like, oh, this is someone to keep an eye on. And now he's lost twice, and now he gets finished in this fight. I think that's even worse. So his stock goes down for sure on this card. Again, he was not favored to win, but you got to look. What were the odds on this anyways? He was he was just a slight underdog, but yeah. Oban Elliott, tough loss for there, especially him getting finished. And then we got to give an honorable mention to Dan Hooker. I don't think Hooker actually fought that bad. It's just now the optics too, kind of like Fiziev. He's now lost 2 in a row after that nice 3-fight win streak. So Hooker's in a spot where, again, not a contender anymore. He's also in that Fiziev spot. In fact, someone mentioned this tonight. Maybe you do him and Fiziev next. That could make a lot of sense to battle it out to see who the gatekeeper is at 155. But Hooker taking a ton of damage. Took some tonight as well. Those elbows, I think that was a bit of a late stoppage, honestly. But Dan Hooker's got to be an honorable mention for a stock dropper. But I don't I don't give him too much flack just because he was one of the biggest underdogs on this card. What did he close as? He was like a minus or plus 310, right? So that didn't help either. So in the comments, what I want you to do, don't worry about my picks. You can criticize them all you want. That's fine. But the first thing I want to hear from you is in the comments, give me your 3 biggest stock risers, 3 biggest stock droppers. Again, this was a bit of a tougher card because we had less fights. I don't really count the road to the UFC fights, like what stock they had going in or whatever. Don't really count that too much. So yeah, let's just focus on the UFC fights and give me your picks. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.